What if I told you there is a city where you can get great yields that compete with the US stock market and might even exceed it in some cases, and also has tons of culture, exquisite cuisine, and just an overall a good vibe? Well, this city is Istanbul. I'm gonna be staying in Istanbul for 3 days, where I'm going to be investigating some of the neighborhoods here that have potential for more long-term rentals. I'd also show the layout of the Airbnb that I'm staying at, because I'm pretty impressed for the value that I got it at. So in Turkey, usually a good Airbnb is going to run you, let's say like 30 to 50 US dollars a night. I'm paying around double that, mostly because of the view that I wanted of the Bosphorus. Let me just show you guys what the unit looks like. It's definitely been redone, which is nice. Digging the chandelier, it's a nice touch. We'll head over. See, they have a whole kitchen area equipped with a microwave. Looks like a dishwasher. Some sort of skillet by the looks of it. Ton of spices, which is appropriate for Turkey, being one of the former centers of the spice trade. And we got your fridge, you got your washer, dryer, decent bathroom. Nor my mess, but nice bedroom area. And by far the reason why I'm paying the premium for this unit. Let me just take you out onto the balcony. Also, you might be hearing a lot of shouting in the background. There is currently a soccer match underway. All the way out there is the Bosphorus. You see one of the Bosphorus crossing bridges. We're currently on the European side, and more towards the right is the Asian side of Istanbul. And then if we look back up this way, that's looking more towards the higher up sections of European Istanbul. Tomorrow, I'm going to be checking out a couple of neighborhoods that caught my attention in terms of long-term rental real estate. In particular, Beaumonte and the area around Nişantaşı. Now, from my sources on the ground here, these areas are nice because more local Turks who have white-collar jobs, they're living in these areas. So ideally, you have your more guaranteed, longer-term rent coming in, which is a plus. I have thought about doing more short-term rentals in this city, such as Airbnb or Vrbo, but there are some logistical challenges to that, such as you usually need the whole building to sign an affidavit, which will let you get the Airbnb license. But sometimes other people living in the building who don't do Airbnb might, what's the best way to put this? Strongly encourage you to give them some of your proceeds to keep the Airbnb above table. Personally, I don't really want to go through that hassle. I like the more long-term rental models, so we're going to be looking at those kind of areas. When I'm in these neighborhoods tomorrow, this is more of a high-level scouting mission to generally see if these areas vibe with me. Because at the end of the day, if I don't want to live in an area, I don't want to rent it out to people, you have to have a certain standard of neighborhood and area you'd want to rent. So stay tuned for some Istanbul sightseeing. Morning. Today's day one of sightseeing. Gonna start by heading towards Tascam to find some breakfast, maybe a haircut. Seems like it's a little overdue at this point. And then we're gonna head over to Beaumonte and Nişantaşı to check out some of the neighborhoods. Let's go. Well, it's already been more than 5 minutes in Istanbul, and a pigeon literally just took a crap on my face. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. I'm just walking around in Tascam Square, and must have been carried on the wind, but I noticed a splat on my arm and on the side of my beard. Thankfully, there's a Burger King here that was kind enough to let me wash off and disinfect. But the silver lining of getting shat on by a pigeon in Istanbul, you find some new photo viewing opportunities. Take a look at this Burger King's view of Tascam. Pretty remarkable. Just finished from getting my haircut at one of the local barber shops. I'd say it came out pretty well. Best part, it was only around 600 lira. So in terms of dollars, 15 bucks on a good day due to the exchange. I'd highly recommend you get one. These folks do an exceptional job when it comes to haircuts. Gonna head over to the metro and ride up to Belmonte to check out that neighborhood. Survived the Istanbul metro and finally in Belmonte now. So far, seems like fairly nice area. A lot of coffee shops, some upper end boutiques, fair amount of medium to higher end cars driving around. We'll see what else we can find here. They don't really have much in the way of the townhomes here from what I can tell. A lot of on-street parking, not too much in the way of garages. I'm done checking out the section of Belmonte I wanted to see. Now we're gonna head over to the northern section right above Nişantaşı and then check out that neighborhood. Let's see what we find. So you can still see some luxury brands in this neighborhood. You also got some classics like this VW Beetle. Look at that. Don't really see too many of these nowadays. This looks like a nice historic residence. Love a building in the Ottoman style. So this is one thing I love about the culture in Turkey. I'll show you guys here. So if you see here, it's like an apartment for the cats. Now, there are a fair amount of strays for both cats and dogs in Turkey. Probably more so cats, but the culture here, they look after them. They put water out, they put food. In some cases like this, they even provide them shelter. So compared to strays, let's say in the West, they tend to be a lot friendlier and more laid back compared to our strays back home. It's just nice to see that the citizens around here go the extra mile to look after their animals. So far, my thoughts of the area north of Nişantaşı is fairly laid back and quiet. So if you're into avoiding areas that don't have the city sounds and life, this might be a good area for you. Now, I can't really see if there's any good views of the Bosphorus in this neighborhood. You would probably have to go to the top of some of these buildings to find that. But in terms of serene neighborhood, and relatively safe feeling neighborhood, this might be a good place. Nice and quiet. So another thing that I like about kind of loud. So another thing I like about this city is, in a sense, how hilly it is. Now, the reason why I like doing these hills, it's a good way to get your cardio in for the day and really push your heart in a healthy kind of way. So we're still in the section north of Nishantashé, and I'll be heading into Nishantashé proper probably within half an hour or so. Just gonna keep checking out this northern section and make my way across the length of it before we head down. This seems like a nice place to raise a family, bring the kids to shoot some hoops. There appears to be some more like playground equipment, a little dog park, another playground. You got these like residential towers in the background. I stumbled across this mall, so let's take a look and see what kind of stores they have here. Seems like a lot of new stores are moving in here. Alright, let's see. The escalators aren't working either. Okay, this is pretty remarkable. Take a look at this. Look at that. Oh. This is very similar to a lot of the malls in Malaysia. It's... So we're currently off to Nishantashé now. It's literally all downhill from here. I believe from the mall I just checked out to the center in Nishantashé, it's probably like a 30-minute walk or so, which isn't terrible. That's what I was saying. Literally all downhill. I guess better than going uphill. Here's a great example of what one thing Turkey is famous for. We got our plastic surgery, and of course, we got our hair transplantation. Now, there are various methods for doing the hair transplant and the cosmetic surgery, but in Turkey, they do a mix of the different types, and it's a fraction of the price where you'd pay either in the US or Western Europe, which is worthwhile if you want to look good and still not break the bank in the process. You can find these medical centers all over Istanbul, and quite frankly over Turkey, depending on which city you go to. Oh, looks like I spoke too soon. Looks like to get into Nishantashé, we have to go up a very, very steep hill. This is quite something. Here, look at this. We just entered Nishantashé, and we'll see what other gems there are in this part of the city. Seems a little more lively than Belmonte, as well as the northern section above Nishantashé. This is the beginning area in Nishantashé. There are a fair mix of luxury cars and your motorbikes. A little more hustle in this neighborhood, but still feels safe. Seems like it has its own charm, in a sense. I get a sense while walking here, these units are probably more expensive than the north of Nishantashé. Might be on par with Beaumonte, but just since there's more shops and other amenities around here, probably a higher price point per square meter. The unofficial American embassy. Nishantashé seemed like a nice area. Now I'm heading back toward my Airbnb. I'm gonna get ready for a cruise on the Bosphorus this evening. And I happened to found a park pretty close to where I was staying that I'm gonna cut through. Did not expect this whatsoever when I came here. It's like you're not even in the city. Nice and quiet.